How do you start off in Buddhism? If you're a Westerner and want to become a layperson inside a Buddhist religion, you're probably having this question because there's typically not maybe a temple near you, a group, a teacher, and you're not exactly sure how to start off on this path inside Buddhism. And so that's what I'm going to talk about in this video today. I'm going to give you just some easy steps on how to start off. Now, I will caveat this. When you find a tradition, a temple, a group that you want to practice in, follow whatever their teachings are, their methodology. The Buddhist religion has been around for 2,600 years. Many of the traditions we have right now have been around for centuries. And so they have refined their practices, their teachings. And so this is what we want to understand and practice in right now. Now, when we're starting off as new Buddhists, you don't have to be a quote-unquote Buddhist. So when you become a Buddhist, this is when you're actually saying, yes, this is the religion, the practice that I want to follow in, and you officially take what's known as the Triple Gem Refuge. Now, right now, you may just be exploring Buddhism, and that's perfectly okay. That includes everything from reading to reciting to practicing. Absolutely, you can do all that. Now, the first part of what I'd like you to do is understand the religion. So you might be going, well, I'll just start reading scriptures because I want to read what the Buddha said. Well, what we have inside scriptures may not be exactly what the Buddha said. It's just what's been passed down orally throughout early Buddhism, then went down into scriptures. So we're looking at things that were originally meant for monastics, and it was recited by them over the centuries and then eventually written down. So we're not exactly sure 100% what the Buddha said. So because of that, what we have in scriptures can sometimes be essentially abbreviated, but for monastics to understand what that abbreviation means, because remember, it was orally recited. So having a book, a video, podcast, audio, whatever that can help you understand the Buddhist religion is where you want to start off at. Don't go right into scriptures like I'm going to read an entire Buddhist canon. Not only is that overwhelming, but you might misunderstand and misinterpret what's being said. So monastics have many books out there. I have some examples on my website, but of course there's many different ones out there. You could also get our book, Buddhism in 10 Steps. This is a free ebook, but it's also available, as you see here, as a paperback on Amazon. This will give you a nice, easy, quick introduction to the Buddhist religion, how to practice, and maybe different questions you have. But again, there are many different books out there and videos and apps and everything else like that, and many of which are actually done by monastics. So that's what I like you to start off with. Don't go full into scriptures, but start understanding what the religion means, what the scriptures mean, and how to practice. And a monastic is going to give you that guidance. Whereas if you try to interpret it, you might kind of go down the wrong path. You might still be on the path, but might go down the wrong path, which could be harder. It may have you misunderstand something that's fundamental. So that is the best first step you can do. And it's okay if you need to take some time in reading this, and maybe a question comes up on a particular teaching or topic that branches you off into maybe another book or maybe another video where you try to fully understand that. There's also many different types of online sessions and classes, for example, that maybe temples have now that you can start learning more about the religion. So learn. But that goes into the second part. Learning is fine, but Buddhism is a religion that's practiced. So what you'd like to do is practice Buddhism. And many times Westerners believe that is purely only meditation. And actually that's a very recent phenomenon. Most laypersons throughout Buddhist history have not done sitting meditation. It's just become more prevalent now because it's promoted, but also because we have more time on our hands to actually try meditation. So most of the time with laypersons, it's recitation of scriptures, it's chanting, it's a variety of different things, but it's also going to be practicing. So there's something called the threefold training inside Buddhism, and that's really what Buddhists practice in all these different traditions, but in different ways. Sometimes something is more emphasized than other ones, but they're all really basically following this threefold training, and it's based upon the Noble Eightfold Path or maybe the Six Perfections. And what we have on here is going to be the morality conduct category. So how we behave, how we interact with people, doing no harm. You can really relate that particular category to upholding the 5 precepts in Buddhism. So we don't want to harm others. We want to create these karmic actions based upon our conduct and everything else in our lifestyle. And so that's a really important one. And a lot of Buddhists, they focus on that one. That's a really tough one for everyday human beings like you and me. So focusing on that in alignment with what the Buddha taught is a great Buddhist practice. We also have wisdom, and that kind of goes into the first thing I told you about, to start understanding the religion, understanding the scriptures and the teachings. So wisdom is going to help us get our mind right. It's going to help us start to tear down these maybe ignorant or false beliefs we have about the world, which is everyone has it. And so the Buddha and Buddhism is helping us kind of like clean that window, clean that dirty mirror, so we can understand the truth. And wisdom is going to help us get there by understanding these concepts and teachings. They can kind of get you to that aha, awakening, enlightenment moment. And then we also have concentration. So that's usually sometimes thought of as just like meditative concentration, but there's a lot of different things inside a particular category. Everything from contemplation, chanting, recitation, meditation, sitting meditation, everything. This is what we're trying to do to settle and tame and control the mind so that we can understand that wisdom, so that we can practice and interact in our world in that morality conduct category as well. But they are all interconnected. You can't have one without the other. So when we're practicing Buddhism, it's a very holistic activity. But as laypersons, everyday human beings, we don't really understand everything yet. We don't really understand what maybe this means and how to practice it in that way. So as we are learning about Buddhism and learning from monastics, we're able to kind of start shaping our world and our mind and our conduct and morality and the wisdom and the concentration so that we can generate good merits. Generating good merits is a very wholesome karmic activity inside Buddhism, because we're trying to essentially shape future, not just in this lifetime, but future rebirths as well. Very unlikely we will become enlightened in this lifetime, but we can set the right conditions, the right karmic activity that's beneficial, not just to us, but to other phenomena, another recreation, another re-emergence in these other realms of rebirth. And so we want to generate good merits, not just for us, but for others as well too. We see that there's a very, as I mentioned a second ago, holistic or very interconnected, interdependent world that we live in. And so practicing Buddhism is done to help us, but also ultimately is we're realizing we have to do it for everyone as well too. So we are shaping, taming our mind. So we start having this path to going, well, you know what, this belief in a permanent, unchanging, independent self is the false belief, but it's so ingrained in us. And when we start wiping that window, cleaning it, that mirror, we're able to see that truth. And then thus, we are no longer generating what's known as the 3 fires, the 3 poisons of greed, anger, and ignorance or delusion. And we're able to reside in our natural state in nirvana. That's what we want to get to, but it'll take a long time. So when we are practicing Buddhism, you're starting off, and you can do it in many, many different ways. Everything from a daily Buddhist practice is a very, very common way of doing it. But as I mentioned, when you are practicing morality conduct, or for example, many traditions maybe is chanting throughout the day, or recitation of a Buddha's name, for example, these are great ways of not just the morality conduct portion, but you're also doing a concentration portion, and you're also doing a wisdom portion, because maybe it's also a sutra, for example. So you're doing things that are all on this 3-fold training, which monastics will help you with as well on how that particular tradition practices it, many, many different ways. But don't worry about, well, I'm not exactly 100% sure about all of this. Go along with that practice, go along with what these centuries of refining the practice have shown, and it will help you along that path. And then finally, you might be going, you know what, this is all working for me. I'm beginning to understand the Buddhist teachings. And again, don't think I'm going to have it all mastered like in a year or two. I'm going to understand all of this. I'm going to be intellectually understanding Buddhism. That's really challenging, even over a lifetime. But we can start shaping our understanding, our wisdom of it, and thus shaping our morality, conduct, and our concentration, and everything else. But you're going, you know what, this is the religion I want to be inside. This is what I want to practice as a layperson. You can take something called the Triple Gem Refuge. And so the Triple Gem Refuge is very symbolic across all of Buddhism. And different traditions may have different ceremonies or ways that they do this, but basically you're taking refuge in the Buddha as our teacher, the Dharma as the teachings that lead us to enlightenment, to nirvana, and also to the Sangha, the monastic community, because monastic community is helping us understand the Buddhist teachings and practice. And it's a very wholesome, merit-generating activity too. They're helping us, and we're helping support them. So this triple gem is really the foundation of Buddhism. It stems all the way back to when the Buddha was alive. He had it there as well. This is what we're taking refuge in. We're realizing, yeah, this is what we want to do. This is what we are putting our faith in. We're putting our refuge in because we're realizing we want to escape this cycle of rebirth is constantly going on. The Buddha said that all things that are conditioned, like us, are impermanent, and that impermanence is that dukkha, that unsatisfactoriness, that suffering. And so that is what we're trying to end through the wisdom, the morality, conduct, and the concentration, that practice right there. Because those three fires of greed, anger, and ignorance, they're always being flamed up due to our ignorance of the world and our interaction, the karmic activities. So when we start starving it of fuel through our Buddhist practice, it goes away. We have enlightenment, nirvana. Nirvana is the absence of that, and that's what we want to get to. So you're starting off in this whole Buddhist religion, understanding it. But again, you're understanding it to a particular degree. So in other words, you don't have to understand it all like within a year. That's fine. There's Buddhists out there around the world who don't fully understand everything. That's understandable. We are constantly trying to better ourselves, to understand the nature of our world, the nature of ourselves, so that we understand what the Buddha taught, that we are able to eventually get towards enlightenment. So you're understanding the religion on a very fundamental level, so that you go, yes, this is what I want to practice, and this is the religion I want to be inside. That's where you want to get there. You want to get to that face level where you're going, yes, I agree. Let's do this. Then you're wanting to practice Buddhism. So you can also couple the two. For example, as you're learning, you can also practice as well. And again, as I mentioned, there's lots of temples that have like online classes and online sessions that you can be part of, which is fantastic, especially if you do not have a temple near you. You can usually do it that way. So you can start practicing as you're learning. But my overall recommendation is don't try to go it alone, where you're just like reading scriptures and trying to interpret and understand that on your own level, because we don't really understand everything, and monastics can help us understand what the Buddha taught and what Buddhism, the religion, taught as well. Do you have any questions? I'd like to hear from you in the comments below, or you can send me a message from my website, alanpeto.com. And I look forward to talking with you in our next episode, and welcome to Buddhism.